Okay, we're rolling. Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful morning. I just wanted to come to you and talk to you today about awareness. The last video that I did, I covered like 3 topics. My initial intent was to cover 1, which was what we resist persists. But in reviewing it and also getting some comments back, like Chris, thank you, she brought up the idea of awareness. So I wanted to recap first the last video real quick. So the 3 points that I covered last time, and I think they're important, were what we resist persists. And so the idea is to come to acceptance of your current situation. When you come to acceptance of your current situation, then you can take your power and make a decision, conscious decision, what you want to do. But you're no longer fighting yourself. So you find the space, the second point, you find the space between the stimulus and your reaction, but you actually cause it to become an action because you find a space and you act consciously. The third piece was finding your personal edge. I'll probably cover these at some point in more detail, but I wanted to get to awareness because awareness is a key piece for all these. So if you're not aware of what's going on in your body or in your mind, then you can't change anything. You're just kind of in an unconscious state. So with awareness, what I first do when I'm contemplating a topic or trying to understand something, oftentimes I go to the dictionary. So in this case, I did that. I went to look up awareness, and it indicated, sorry, having or showing realization, perception, or knowledge. And the perception realization kind of sparked interest in me. I thought, well, that kind of makes sense. So I looked at perception, and that was like, bingo, awareness using your senses. And that's exactly what you need to do to become aware of your body and your mind, is to use your senses, because those are our tools that we have, our external tools. Sorry. And so this made me realize, well, a while ago, and I'll explain that the big epiphany that I've had that's really changed my life considerably is the idea that I am not my thoughts. I am not my body. I have a body and I have thoughts, but I'm not those. And that allows you to come to the point where you can make a conscious decision about your body and about your mind and your life. So if I'm not my body and I'm not my mind, what am I? I never really know. Some people call it God, some people call it higher power, some people call it oneness. I'm not really sure. In fact, I don't know if I really care at this point, because it's just so difficult to explain, or why, I don't know, why explain it. So it's kind of like the point of, we're trying to explain perfection or the universe or whatever using our imperfect tools, which are words. So how do we do that? But anyway, so I wanted to relay my experience because I thought it was really important. I didn't believe any of this stuff when I was younger. In my 20s and 30s, I was actually atheist, kind of, maybe, definitely agnostic. I didn't believe in higher power. I just believed, I was trained throughout my life as a kid and through teens. I pushed my emotions down. So eventually I had no emotions. I didn't value emotions. I didn't see anything in my life that was important for emotions. And then I went into the scientific field, which made that even, amplified that even more. So I was straight science. Science was my religion. Science was everything. If it wasn't proved, it wasn't fact. If there wasn't any fact, if there wasn't data to back it up, then it didn't exist. So that was kind of my framework when I first discovered this stuff. And in fact, just a song, if everybody knows the Logical Song by Supertramp, I just relate to that totally. And I'm going to put a link to that in the bottom because it's a really cool song. Perhaps other people will as well. So, at that point, I was agnostic, let's say, and I didn't believe any of this stuff. And I needed proof. I wasn't looking for proof at that point, but the universe provided me proof, essentially. So what you ask, even though maybe you don't ask it directly, the universe provides it, and that's what happened in my case. So I began to see patterns in my life, and I didn't believe, like I said, I didn't believe any of this stuff, but I do believe patterns. I do recognize patterns. I'm a scientist. I recognize data. I recognize correlations, and I saw these in my life, and they were more than just coincidences. So, I think that was the first point where the universe was kind of encouraging me to go in this direction. And I wasn't really a willing follower at all, to be honest with you. So it took me a really long time to get there. And the real big epiphany I had was in yoga class one day. I had started taking yoga, really hot yoga, actually Baptiste hot yoga, which was just a kick-ass kind of yoga class. The first couple of classes I took, I remember you just trying to do these poses in this boiling hot humid room, and you're just dying because the sweat's just pouring off your body, and you're just in so much pain and agony. And I don't even know what actually kept me going to well, actually I guess I do, but it was the instructor. He kind of had a message that I really resonated with. It was just that message that I was just talking to you about. You're not your mind or your body. You're something else. You're some higher power. So that kept me going yoga. So I tried yoga I did for I continually do it, but I did it for quite a while. And I was trying to get this concept into my mind. And what did it for me was Warrior 2. Warrior 2 is a killer pose. And my quads were killing constantly when I was doing Warrior 2. I was sweating, I was in pain, and I just remember, my yoga instructor's voice, in my head saying, concentrate on sensation, don't hide from it, and use your breath as a tool. So, I don't remember the particular day, but I can remember the instance when this happened to me, my sort of epiphany, and really changed my life and my views about things. It was a significant paradigm shift. I was in yoga, and there was this voice in my head or sensation kind of screaming at me because of so much discomfort, the burning in my quads, and this goddamn pose, for no better words for it, and it was just agony. And I remember trying to breathe through it, concentrating on the sensations, and wanting to get out of this pose. And typically that's what I usually did. But this time, I kind of heard this other voice or sensation or something. I recognized something in me that was keeping me in it. So then it was like this realization, like, okay, there's a voice or sensation saying, run, hide, this is really difficult. But then there was something that was keeping me in it. And then I was like, holy crap. So what's able to look at these two voices, and that made me realize that, I can see these I can discern between these thoughts in my mind, and it allowed me to just discover that, hey, I have conscious choice in what I can believe. If I believe that this is horrible and I want to get out of it and it's the worst thing in the world, then I will. But if I believe that it's just sensation, I can breathe through it and get through it, I will. So this was huge for me. This was really the glimpse of my power for me. It was a turning point in my life, like I said. So I just wanted to relay that, and it wasn't smooth sailing after that, like, oh my God, I had this epiphany and life was all roses and buttercups. Actually, what it did is I think it was a catalyst to changing my life, and I went down this really dark kind of road for the next 4 years. Even though I was learning this stuff, I went through divorce, custody battle, school battle, bankruptcy, really, really bad stuff. And so it just flip-flopped my life totally because I had this epiphany, And I kind of relate this to life is a dance, right? So if you're dancing around with life, these are my little characters, and you're doing the waltz, right? And life is doing the waltz with you, or your partners or your relationships are doing your waltz with you. If you change and start doing swing, they're either going to have to start doing swing with you or find another partner. So, what happened is I started doing swing, and life changed for me. It had to, because it's a dance. So that's just my little pictorial there, how how I kind of view it. So yeah, so I started recognizing my self-limiting behavior. And I just wanted to share this with you because there's so much fakeness out on the internet. You know, you constantly see people now that are, you know, they claim to be perfect, they claim to have perfect lives, perfect bodies, you know, everything's perfect, they're making millions of dollars. And sure, at this point, maybe, well, they're not perfect, but maybe they are in a really good state and, you know, they are making millions of dollars and they do have good bodies, but they didn't get there by not working. They worked their asses off, you know, and often these people that I'm kind of meeting and reading about and things, they had to go through this kind of dark, you know, they went down to some dark places, and then, but they were brought back up. So it almost seems like with human experience that we have to find the worst place that we can, or really have really bad experiences in order to kind of rise like a phoenix and really enjoy the good parts of life and appreciate them. So that's why I want to talk to you about that. So now the point actually is I wanted to tell you what you can do now to find awareness, or what I did anyway to find awareness. So the body is really a conduit of our experiences of the world. Our body has our senses, so it allows us to experience the world. What comes in through the body, you know, through your eyes, through your senses, through your olfactory, through your taste, is all filtered through our mind. And our mind has all our past histories, it has our fears, it has our biases, it has, you know, all that history that filters kind of what comes in through our senses. And after it gets filtered, that's what kind of changes it. So there are ways to become aware of this filtering and become aware of these thoughts. And that's the awareness practice that I want to talk to you about, is how to find awareness, or how I found awareness. And I thought about this, and I have like 4 important pieces that I use and that I've kind of seen people use to find awareness. One is educate your mind, which you're doing. You're here listening to this video, read books, understand things. You know, some really good books actually I'm going to post are Byron Katie. I read Byron Katie. She has a number of good books about this. Eckhart Tolle. And these guys are very spiritual in the way they talk about things. And to be honest with you, I read them and I got a lot out of them, but I never really related to a lot of what they said. I took what they said in my mind, but I never was able to embody it or apply it with my body. Another really good, but a really good author that I relate to, huge, is Brene Brown. She's a scientist. She comes at it from a totally different perspective, so it might, so some of the people on here might want to take a look at her as well, because based on your background, one, you know, author might resonate versus another. And she really resonates with me because I said she's a scientist, she's a researcher, and she comes at it from a very pragmatic, data-driven standpoint. So she was never looking for any of this stuff. She was out studying social things in her experimentations, and then she came upon this stuff, and now she's, you know, practicing it and preaching it. She's amazing. So check her out. I'm going to put a link for her book as well. Haven't read it yet, the most current one, but I want to. I'm really excited about that. So educate your mind. The second piece is, via perception of our senses, we need to find our body. We need to experiment with our body and use our senses to be able to discover what we're thinking and what we're feeling. And we need to do this in a controlled space, I think, initially. Like yoga is really good. Anything that is controlled, like yoga, you know, it could be boxing, it could be karate, it could be rock climbing, it could be anything like that. It could be just a straight meditation where, you know, you're sitting in a room and you're quiet and you're just looking at your thoughts. So I think that's really important. And there's two pieces to that. I think you can find this awareness through something I like to think as a an active way, which is to really stress and put pressure on your body and do something really strenuous, because that allows you to not think about all your thoughts and your ideas and your day, because you're so damn tired and you're so exhausted and you're just trying to get through this workout. That's a form of meditation. But I might want to call that walking meditation. And then there's the meditation where you sit, like I just said, and you just kind of sit in quietness, try to clear your mind, concentrate on something, concentrate on your body, concentrate on your breath. And it allows you to be able to recognize thoughts that are going through your head. Excuse me. So both of these have benefits. Both of these get you into your body and your mind, and it's through your senses. So the third piece is being able to take what you learned in this controlled environment, or as yogis say, you practice on your mat and you take what you learn on your mat and you apply it in life. So you take what you learned in these control environments and you apply it to life. That's the third thing. So that's where we're in our difficult situations and we realize that, oh my God, I'm spinning in my head. I've got these thoughts. And you're able to be aware of those and try to apply some of these things that you've learned during your controlled environment. And last is practice, 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 practice. It's a continuous practice. Once you think you have it, guess what? You don't, because you've already gone back to the point where you think you have it and you just don't, because it's just your mind. It's well, some people call it your ego, but your mind convincing you that you're good. It's kind of a protection mechanism. So just keep practicing. So one example I wanted to give you real quick about being able to practice it out in the real world is, just give an example of what I'm doing right now. I'm in the dating situation, in the relationship kind of situation. So I'm practicing going out and talking to women, or anybody really, and being mindful of it, of my approach. So what typically happens with me, and has happened with me, is when I approach either a woman or even just a person sometimes, it's been difficult throughout my life. My mind starts racing. I start having 100 different reasons why I should or shouldn't talk to them, or I should do this or shouldn't do that. The adrenaline kicks in from nerves. I get overly self-aware, of critical of my movements, of my voice, of my posture, of whether I'm making eye contact, things like that, especially when it's a woman. I get preoccupied with cues that she might be giving off or people might be giving off. And do they like me? What are they thinking about me? How come they're scowling? Oh, okay, they're smiling. What does that mean? And then I also become worried about what people are thinking of me and my situation. So I'm totally spinning in my head with all these different things. So a practice is, for me, and for anybody, is to, if you get into that situation, you recognize it, the awareness piece, become aware, is things you can do is to breathe. If you're out on a beach, for instance, I'll give an example. Breathe, feel the sand on your toes, feel the sun on your back and on your face. We have hairs on our bodies, right? If there's a breeze, you can kind of feel the hairs on your bodies move around, things like that. Just try to get totally grounded and aware of your body sensations. That helps tremendously. And then see not just the person or the woman. In my case, just don't see her, her physical beauty. She's gorgeous, she's got nice skin and great body kind of thing, but kind of see through her. She's a person, she's a human being. Everybody we communicate, everybody we talk to, everybody we interact to, they're human beings, they're complex creatures. So we don't just want to be able to see them on the surface. So that's really important. That helps as well for me. Recognize that, So, and that enables you to make connections with people. And when it happens, you feel it. You just kind of feel this, oh, I've made this connection with someone. And you don't realize what it is, but just things start to jive. Like I talked about that dance, you'll get into that dance with a conversation or whatever it might be that you're doing. And it's amazing when it happens. So that's an example of that. So to wrap up, real quick, is awareness is perception. It's a perception through your senses. The 4 ways to get there, in my opinion, and that worked for me, is to educate your mind. So learn about different techniques, different modalities that you can use, yoga, boxing, whatever draws you in. In a controlled environment, practice whatever you practice your modality, your karate or yoga or something like that. And then out in the real world, apply what you practiced on your mat, for instance, or practiced in the dojo. And then the last thing is practice. So yeah, that's it. So thanks for listening. I appreciate your comments last time and eyes up and things like that. So I hope you find value in this. And again, please comment and let me know what you think, any ideas you have. Pass on to the group what works for you. That's always very helpful. So everybody have a great day and take care. Bye.